Good morning.
Hi.
It has been a busy week around here, but we are glad to be back in these seats, spending time with all of you. And I was just thinking about everything that's happened this week, and it's made me so thankful for friends that we can just call and know they're going to drop everything and be there at a moment's notice.
For sure.
We had this thing happen while we were out at the marriage weekend in Tieton, Washington. And we were out hiking before the event started, and we get a phone call from our oldest daughter saying the car's not working. And she had driven, 30 minutes from here?
Yep, with friends, too, in the car.
So there's nothing we can do. And I'm like, I can call Bobby. Bobby went down and made sure they were able to get home. But
I'm so thankful for Bobby.
I am too. But we had a great marriage event. It was fun spending time with James and Mandy, and I feel like we became very close friends with them. And then got back home and jumped right back into work. So
Now we're still recovering from that time difference. I hate using the word jet lag. It doesn't feel like it's enough of a time difference to make it jet lag, but we're definitely feeling that strain, I think.
While we were there, it's 3 hours difference. And so it was like, my body thinks it's so late right now. So.
Yeah. But now we're back into it today.
So you've been painting the last couple days?
Yep, painting and getting everything ready. Thomas had to fix the car, so that's what he's been doing. And,
A full day of running today.
Yep.
But we're going to talk today about boys, right?
Yeah, we don't know anything about this. I don't know why we're talking about
Raising boys. Well, because I have girls and I know what I want the boys to be that
Right.
are around my girls. So.
And we certainly know what the Bible says. So, so we're going to talk about chivalry today.
Ooh, it's not dead, is it? Mm-mm. That's good.
Not on the family meeting.
Nope, we're keeping it alive. So, you ready to jump in?
I am.
Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas, and this is my wife, Lysandra.
Hello, and welcome to episode 191 of the Family Meeting podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about a topic pretty irrelevant in our home. It may be extremely relevant, though, for your family. We're going to talk about raising boys to become chivalrous gentlemen.
I would say that's not irrelevant.
Not really.
Because we have 4 daughters, which means hopefully we have 4 young men coming around eventually. Mm-hmm. Eventually. I'm not ready for it, but...
Right, but we have to teach our daughters how they should be treated.
Yeah.
And what to expect.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about how to allow your boys to be boys, yes, but teach them the proper way to treat women, starting with their sisters and their mothers.
Yeah, so we had such a great time this past weekend at the Tieton.
The mighty Tieton.
Mighty Tieton.
And now we know how to say it properly.
So Washington, hoping the apples. We were actually so from what I've been told, I don't know anything about this subject, but the world leader in hops.
Yes, we learned about hops. That's a plant, people.
Yeah.
Very cool. And there's apple orchards everywhere. The Yakima Valley is absolutely gorgeous. We love it there. We had so much fun. And
hiking, and we saw rattlesnakes. And
so someone that we met there at the marriage weekend listened to our podcast from last week as we tried to talk about the fact that we were headed there. And they were basically laughing at us because we don't know how to say Tieton. We didn't know how to say Yakima.
Yeah.
We could say Washington right, I think.
Yep.
But everything else we failed. So now we know. We have learned.
The state of Washington.
Washington. Yeah, no, that's bad.
So.
But we had a great time, and we are very thankful for all of our Yakima Valley friends that we were able to meet.
We are, and we're so glad for things like the Family Meeting community group on Facebook so that we can continue some of those conversations, interactions that we've had. And if you have not jumped in yet, now's the time to do so, as we have some fun conversations in there.
Yeah, we do. I love all the memes. We have way too much meme fun. Well, some say chivalry is dead. It doesn't have
Who
to
says
be.
that?
People say it.
Have you said that?
Yes, I have definitely said that many, many times as I watched like a boy do something or a man not treat a woman
I was going to
properly.
ask when was the last time you said that or thought that?
I don't know when the last time was, but I have said it out. I've said it out loud, like under my breath.
Because I think chivalry is not dead.
Say that again.
Chivalry.
Are you saying it right?
Chivalry?
We're going to say it a lot on this episode, so if we're saying it wrong.
You got to switch it up and say chivalrous also.
Yes. Okay. So what we are saying, though, is chivalry does not have to be dead. We can be raising boys. I mean, not Thomas and me.
No.
We cannot be raising boys, but you can be raising boys.
Well, to be fair, we are raising Coconut, so
That is true.
same thing.
He's not a gentleman. He's all about himself. But we want to encourage people to be raising boys who grow to be chivalrous men. But it starts early. You know, it can't happen when they are 20, 22, when they're thinking about getting married. It's got to start way, way before that. And today we're going to talk about some ways to ingrain a respect for women into our boys.
Now think about what 1 Peter chapter 3, verse number 7 says. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. And of course, as Peter's writing here, he's reminding husbands to, first of all, live with their wives in an understanding way. And anytime I come to this verse, I just remind husbands that it is your job to know your wife. There's all kind of jokes about, you can't understand women and whatever else, but you're literally commanded to understand and know your wife and to live with her according to the information that you know and understand. But he says this, showing honor to the woman. And it's so important as husbands that we lead the way in showing what it means to honor women by honoring our wife. And it's so beautiful the way that God created male and female and husband and wife and designed us. We are so different, and yet the way that God designed us to work together and to come together is one of those things that I think is so beautiful.
It is. No matter whether you have boys or girls, we should be raising all of our children with this verse from Romans at the forefront of our minds. Romans 12:10, love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another, showing honor. The King James says preferring one another, putting one another first, and I just love that idea.
I just love you with brotherly affection.
That's creepy, dude. But we should be teaching our kids, even at a very young age, to try to prefer one another and outdo one another in showing honor, putting the others first. And that definitely applies to boys when we are training boys, helping them to put somebody else first. And really, that's what chivalry is. At the heart of it, that's what it is. It's putting someone else first. And that is a character trait that is trained young.
Yeah.
If you don't have training in chivalry or even, just putting other people first when you're young, it is really hard to learn when you're older. Like, it takes a lot of intentionality and desire. Like, you have to want to learn to do it. It's easiest for all of our kids if we would teach them this when they're younger.
Well, and that reminds me of Ephesians 6:4. It says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And of course, we've talked, we have a whole episode on discipline. We've talked about it a bunch. But it's the idea of, hey, you need to bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. In other words, that starts from the very beginning, and we just kind of bring them up in it. Mm-hmm. And those very young years are vitally important for setting the foundation for what your children are going to become. And I look at the way that our girls are now, with all teenagers at 18, 17, 16, and 13. And I love the young women that they have become, but it started when they were so young. The discipline and the
Before they
training and the
became 1-year-old.
instruction and all of that. And so the same is going to be true when we're talking about this topic here. But I will say this. I want to say this because maybe you haven't, or feel like you haven't started, and think it's too late. Well, it's never too late. Today's the best day to start. And so we want to share with you some things that I think will be a help to you as you try to raise these boys. And, I care a lot about how people are raising their boys because that will directly affect our girls someday. So
I do think it's interesting that verse says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Because, we always hear, didn't your mama teach you any manners?
Yeah.
And it really is a father's job to train and instruct. And especially in this topic, like a mom will not be able to as effectively or as easily maybe teach a boy how to treat women. Like it really needs to be taught by a man. I remember, so I wonder if you remember this, Thomas. One day we were on a date night at a restaurant. I can't even remember the restaurant right now, but
I bet the food was good.
probably. We had to wait because there were too many people in line, and so they had that like little waiting area in the lobby, and it was freezing cold outside. This was when we lived in Iowa. This was a long time ago, actually, and we couldn't wait outside, on the benches outside. So everybody was kind of jammed into this small lobby waiting room, and we had to stand because when we got there, all the seats were taken. And there was a family sitting right near us, and it was a father and 3 sons, and all 4 of them were seated on a bench. The boys were probably between 10 and 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember this?
I do, yeah. Very much so. I was actually pretty annoyed that at least one of them wouldn't give my wife their seat. But
yeah.
Like I knew you were fine.
Yeah.
You are a young woman.
Yeah. I was a lot younger then, but I was fully capable and comfortable standing, so it wasn't a big deal.
Which you didn't want me to say anything.
No.
But here's the kicker, and this is what got me.
This is why this story sticks out in our heads still to this day.
So then this pregnant woman comes in, and she had to be close to 9 months.
Yeah.
Along. Like she was ready to have her baby in the restaurant. Yeah. And this family of boys looked up at her. Obviously you could not notice the fact that she was pregnant.
Very obvious.
And so then they just kind of went back to their phones. And it was terrible.
I was enraged. Like, I don't get angry very often, but I was furious inside. Like, I was so mad that they were not offering this woman their seat, but I was also just mad like this dad had not taught his boys any chivalry.
Yeah. So I was silent when it was you because you were fine.
Yeah, and I would have been so mad at Thomas if he would have said something.
But for this woman, I did say something.
Yeah.
And I suggested that they allow her to sit there, and then the dad did get up.
Yeah.
But kind of begrudgingly.
Right. It's terrible. And I understand that there is a feminist view out there that exists, and I'm not against, strong women. Like,
oh, I'm not either. I'm hopefully raising 4 of them.
Yeah, like we're all about strong women. If there's anything that I can't do, I want to learn how to do it so I don't have to be dependent on a man. I want to be able to do anything I want to do.
Well, the truth is you don't need no man.
No. I keep you around because you're pretty.
Oh, boy. I'm going to have to keep hitting the gym.
Yeah. And I do understand that there are women out there who do not want any help from men and want only equality, and that is totally fine, if that is how you feel. And it's fine if a woman turns down the offered seat or the offer to carry a bag or whatever. That's fine. They can turn it down. But at least offer. Train our boys to offer, right? And I don't believe that there is any reason for a man not to offer to show respect to a woman. And so that's what we're talking about, is training them how to offer. And we'll talk here at the end of the episode about what to do if a woman does refuse the help that you're offering.
Well, and the thing is, and this goes back to what you talked about, how we're supposed to treat all people. Because there's certain things like I just do for all people, like whether it's hold the door open, you go into the gas station or whatever, you just hold the door open for people to come in. And so being able to learn how to just put other people first and recognize the situation you're in, who's around you, and being respectful of that.
Yeah, a lot of chivalry, or even just loving your neighbor as yourself, has to do with being aware of who's around you and who's behind you and who's struggling. We can be so wrapped up in ourselves that we don't even see when someone else is struggling and offer to help. That's a really sad state.
But the best way we as men can show our daughters how they should be treated by a man, and how our boys should treat women, is to be chivalrous ourselves. We have to set the example. Whether I realize it or not, I'm setting the example for what my daughters think of as a man, of
right.
what they should be, of how they should, let a man treat them. And so it's important, the example that we are setting. And this is an encouragement to all dads to be fully invested in the lives of their children and the training of their children. I think for too long, in a lot of ways, men have just kind of stood back and haven't been as involved.
Yeah, in parenting.
And raising their children. And there's been a shift recently that I've kind of noticed, which I really love. Because we ought to be involved. And men, you're an important part of the way that your daughters will view how a man should treat them. You're also an important part of how your boys think they ought to treat women, of how they ought to treat women. It starts in your home. It starts in my home. And it begins, first of all, with how men treat their mother. Of how we treat our wives. And so when you think about your relationship with your wife, that's the first thing that they'll notice. They notice how you treat each other. So do you treat your wife with respect? Do you just respect her? Because in respecting her, you're teaching your daughters that they ought to be respected by men. You're also teaching your sons to learn that it's important to respect the women in their lives. And so just showing them respect, and we could get into love and honor and preferring them and everything else, putting them first. So, but it does start with you. And so just think about the way that you interact with your wife. That says a lot in your home.
I'm thankful for Thomas. He really does treat me well, and he shows the girls exactly how a wife should be treated. And I think about, so we just took this trip to Washington, and there's a lot of opportunities for chivalry in a full day of airport travel.
Yeah.
And we saw it, and it was so funny because neither of us at all were thinking about this episode.
No.
When we were heading to Washington, we were thinking about everything that we had to do there, and we were thinking about the sessions we were going to be teaching and all of that.
Well, and we knew we were going to be coming back late on a Monday. And of course, Wednesday's coming pretty fast after that. So on the way home, actually, is when I was like, what are we talking about this week?
Yeah, and I had to kind of look it up, and I was like, oh, chivalry. And Thomas had just been very chivalrous all weekend, which was great.
Like, this is one of those podcast episodes where I shine.
Thomas actually looks good for a change. It's really nice for him.
I'm liking it.
You deserve this.
I'm liking it here.
This is your win, babe. Yeah, so we're heading off to this trip, and we checked 2 bags. One was like our joint suitcase of clothing and shoes, And then one was just all books that we were going to sell, our Happily Never After and Balancing the Crazy books. And it is so crazy. They're both 50 pounds. And that doesn't sound like that much, but sometimes it's really awkward weight.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And you're lifting and everything. Everywhere we went, Thomas lifted both the suitcases, right? Everywhere. In fact, some places he was pushing or pulling both of the suitcases. But what's really funny is we had a really full flight, and so Thomas's backpack got checked the rest of the way to the thing, and he was like pretty happy about that. He was no longer going to carry anything on his back, and I offered to let him put like whatever he really needed, earbuds or cord or charging cord and stuff in my backpack, because I'm not checking my backpack. I'm way too high maintenance. I need a lot of stuff on the flight. If I don't have my chapstick, somebody's gonna get slugged in the eye. Like, I gotta have everything.
Yeah,
so
you're very high maintenance.
So I have my teal blue polka dot backpack, and we start walking a little ways, and Thomas is like, "Here, I'll carry it." I was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah." So he carries my teal polka dot backpack all throughout both airports.
Which I think was heavier than the 50 pounds allowed.
Well, my laptop was in there too, because I like to do writing and stuff on the road. But yeah, so Thomas is now carrying the only backpack we have, because even though he was so excited about checking his, he still ended up carrying
that
mine.
Blue polka dotted bag.
You looked very manly. Actually,
I'm
though,
sure.
Girls, am I right that that's the manliest man of all, the man who is holding the woman's purse? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a chivalrous man. That's the real man. And then, and there were other times too in the airport, like we had to ride a shuttle bus from the car rental back to the airport. And I think we were the very first people to enter the bus. So of course we sat down, and slowly other people trickled in. Well, as the men came in, Thomas stayed in his seat.
Yeah, I'm like, you're good. Now, if it was an older man who was having a hard time, I would give it up.
These were like young dudes. And then a couple came in, and the woman came in, and immediately Thomas jumped up and gave her her seat, his seat, and she was happy to sit down. And she leaned over to me and she goes, "Is that your husband?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, you got a good one." I was like, "I agree." I've never been more proud of my husband. Maybe not never been more proud.
Wow.
I was very, very proud of you then. And I that's, that's a way to get to your husband's heart, or to your wife's heart, husbands, is be chivalrous.
Way to just like cut me out and steal my moment when you're like, this is your moment to shine. I've never been more proud.
It's the best thing he's ever done, ever.
Yeah.
No, but really, it was a great, he had so many opportunities to be chivalrous, and he was.
But man, if you aren't treating the women in your circle with respect, your boys won't either. It literally starts with us. And, it was kind of one of those things where it was difficult to learn because, I didn't have a great example about that growing up. So you try to notice other things like, okay, this wasn't kind of how it was in our home, the way that men and women interacted. And so
let me ask you this. Did your dad make you and your brothers like give up your seat for your sister or carry things for your sister? Like,
no.
Was there any training at all between you brothers and your sister?
No. Now my dad wouldn't let me disrespect my mom, but my mom, more importantly, wouldn't let me disrespect her.
Yeah, you were more afraid of your mom, probably.
Yeah. My mom is very small, but she's got mighty. A lot of firepower. So
yeah, she's Mighty Mouse. Yeah.
But you just notice like, okay, that's different than it was in our home, and so tried to change and do things differently.
I would say when we got married, and we got married young, you were not chivalrous at all. Like, you loved me.
Totally.
And so your love for me came out, but in general, like, you wouldn't necessarily give up your seat for a lady at first. Like, that was stuff I think you learned and you trained yourself to do. Because I don't think that you had that necessarily teaching. But it would have been a lot easier for you if you had learned at home, probably.
Yeah. Probably. And that's one of the things I'm saying is like it's never too late to start.
That's right.
you know?
Yeah. Now, in my house, it was a little different. I remember my dad forcing my brother to open my car door and stuff like that, and he hated it.
Oh, that's great.
My brother hated it. My brother and I are 16 months apart, so we're pretty close in age. And so he tried really hard. My dad tried to like teach my brother to like my brother was supposed to take out the trash and do the mowing. Like he was supposed to do the man side of things.
Man's in quotes, by the way.
Yeah. And he was supposed to like carry my bag or whatever, and he did not ever want to do any of that. And here's why. I was a real jerk. I totally was, because I would totally rub it in his face. If he had to do anything for me, I'd be like, here's my bag. You know, I was just a jerk.
Oh my God.
And he had no choice but to do what my dad said, because you did not mess with my dad. And so my poor brother, Josiah, he would be chivalrous for me, but he did not enjoy it. So on that note, it may be a good idea to teach our daughters how to act and show appreciation when they're treated with respect. But I guess that's a podcast for another episode.
Because your brother could have went the totally opposite way. Now he is a great man.
He is very chivalrous now.
Yeah, he's very loving, very kind.
Yes, he's wonderful.
But you could have pushed him the other way to be like,
I hate women.
I know.
I can't believe that after everything I did to him, he doesn't hate women.
He just never wants to talk to you again.
Exactly. He hates me. But yeah, so we got to teach our daughters how to appreciate it too, because they need to act like girls too. They need to act like ladies if we're going to be teaching our boys to treat them well.
Totally. Now, I want to give some real world examples of ways we can exemplify chivalry. And one thing I always do is to walk on the outside of the road or sidewalk. And I don't remember.
Yeah, when did you learn? Oh, I know when you learned it. You told me when you learned it. In college. It was Pastor Shetler. I think he talked about this.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because then
I don't remember this at all.
You like came back from college, because we were just dating. You came back from college and all we ever did was walk everywhere, remember? When we were dating, that's all we ever did. And then all of a sudden you started implementing this.
Yeah.
That is where it is. I'm almost positive.
So just walking on the outside of the road or the sidewalk closest to the cars. Mm-hmm. And I think about it all the time.
I never think about it.
But Lysandra doesn't. So she's just kind of walking and talking. And so I will I'll put my hand on her back and just kind of gently guide her, or I'll say, hey, let's switch sides. Mm-hmm. Depending on how we walk, you know, I may have to switch sides 2 or 3, 4, 8 times.
Because we turn
the route of the walk or whatever. But
well, and it's funny too, because Thomas also guides me when we walk, so I don't get hit by a car. When I'm walking with Thomas, I don't look for traffic. I don't look for any vehicles or anything. I'm just having a good time. I know that he's going to watch out for me, so I don't even pay attention.
There's a lot of times where I'm wondering how you've not got hit by a car when I'm not around.
I know, it's like I'm Mr. Magoo or something.
Seriously. But something as simple as that, where it's okay, I'm gonna put myself in between my wife and whatever danger could be there.
Right.
So when you're talking about traffic, you put yourself closest to the cars.
Mm-hmm. What about animals? Now, if there's a big scary animal, do you also put yourself in between me and the big scary animal, Thomas?
No, that's a totally different scenario. Because that then goes into Law of the Jungle, where it's every person for themselves.
Show me in the Bible. Where's Law of the Jungle in the Bible?
It's in there, I'm sure.
Thomas is terrified of big animals, and I am not. But
something
it's really
in
funny.
the Garden of Eden or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now snakes are not that way.
No, because that's the thing I'm really afraid of. I hate that. Yeah, you protect me from
so
those.
Like seeing the rattlesnake in Washington while we're hiking was kind of fun, but
no, we saw 3.
But I did make sure you didn't see them.
Yes, and that really helped. Well, I saw 1, but 2 I did not see because you protected me.
So I'm like, Lysandra, just stop, and immediately you're like, freaking out. She knows they're around. But if it's a very large dog or something, then no, I ain't doing that.
No, then chivalry is dead.
I will take on thousands of pounds of metal.
What about sharks?
No, I ain't doing that either. If you're in the water, that's on you.
Thomas is very chivalrous, but he definitely has limits.
Well, that would be like you running on the freeway in between the cars and be like, "Are you going to protect me?" Like you're
Swimming with sharks.
you're in their world. Like get out of traffic.
It's an interesting perspective.
Come over here to the beach and I'll protect you from the sharks.
Okay, he protects in if we're being wise.
Now, if it's a person,
Oh yeah, you'll kill him.
oh yeah, I'm not I'm not afraid of any person. But for some reason, large animals, that's it.
I know. I just took this opportunity to bring it up.
Yeah. You're like, he's having too good of an episode. Let me
I got to bring him down.
let me pull the rug out from underneath
His
him.
head's getting too big. Okay, so another real world example. I'm sorry, I'm yawning. Is opening doors and allowing the girls to walk in first. So this is something Thomas does for me and for the kids, which remember all of our kids are girls for those of you who don't know us very well. And this really shows honor. So holding doors for all women, really. And Thomas does this, in gas stations or where, out and about, wherever we might be, he's doing this. And the truth is this can go even beyond just chivalry and women. Like if you are an able-bodied man, you should hold the door for anyone, especially like if they're carrying heavy things or they're not as physically fit as you are, like whether they're injured or elderly. You see someone walking with a cane, open the door for them. Like, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and this has to start with dad. When dad does it, the other boys see that dad is doing it. So teaching happens when we model it, and that's what we're talking about here. But certainly you could tell your boys, hey, see that gentleman over there? He's having a hard time. Run up there and get the door for him. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Teaching first happens by modeling it, but it absolutely happens by real training and instruction and verbally. So make sure you're taking time to teach your boys that.
Well, and my goal for those kind of interactions is not just to open the door for them, but it's literally to maybe change the course of their day. And so often when you hold the door open for somebody, they say thank you. Like that's the polite thing to do. And I typically will tell them, have a great day. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to see the look on people's faces change.
Yeah.
Because in some ways, like people just expect if you're walking into a place that somebody's going to hold the door, at least so they can get it, if not walk through, right? And so they often don't expect that little positive interaction.
Right. Yeah.
So see their eyes light up, like, hey, you can just change the whole course of somebody's day, and I like that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Another thing you can do is just carry their stuff.
I love it when he carries my stuff.
Carry their stuff.
Because I want all my stuff, but I don't want to carry my stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that King of Queen episodes where they're gonna go watch a concert in a park on a blanket or something, and she's like, I don't want to bring my purse, but can you just put my lipstick in your pocket? Oh, I'm gonna need this coin purse. Can you put it? And
My
she
cell phone and
yeah, she starts loading up his pockets, and eventually he just dumps his pockets out on the table and walks out the door.
Yeah, because she's being
crazy.
Yeah, just grab your purse. Now I'll carry your purse, but I'm not putting all this stuff in my pocket. But, and to be honest, it's really for me to carry your backpack is not that much work, even if it is 50 pounds. Like I put it on my back and I'm fine. Like if I can backpack and carry everything in the boundary waters that I need for 5 days, like carrying a backpack around the airport is not that big a deal.
Speaking of which, when Pastor James Kephart in Washington there talked about backpacking through the mountains, I was like, oh, I want to go. So we're talking about how fun it would be to backpack. And he's like, I don't know if you'd like it. That's a lot of, you have to carry a backpack. I was like, nah, because I'll be with you.
Yeah.
Thomas is going to have 2 backpacks and I'm going to have none.
Got to carry enough for 2 people. And it's more like 2.5 or 3 people by the time we get all your stuff. You would definitely have to learn how to rough it.
Yeah.
Because like you go to these places where you backpack everything in, you're going pretty low key.
Yeah. I would be chill, but the chapstick would come. I'll tell you that right
So you have to decide, do I want to carry food or do I want to like carry extra clothes?
Oh, definitely food.
Yeah.
I'll wear the same nasty thing over and over and over.
Yeah. So you do that anyway.
Wow.
You've been wearing the same outfit 3 episodes in a row.
Not. You guys can go back and look at the YouTube. I have not. I changed my clothes. All right, this got weird. All right. And then simple one that we've already talked about is give them your seat. So give up your seat in whatever situation. This does go for elderly people, injured people, and of course, women. And I think it's great. Like if we were to teach young boys, if you have a seat, you get up and give another young girl your seat. That should be trained real young. That starts right away.
You know, as I'm sitting here and we're talking about this, it amazes me how possessive people get of a seat.
Oh yeah, people are crazy.
It's strange to me, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. We hit on this already, and that is put yourself between them and any danger.
Yeah, any danger, whatever that could be.
The exception would be large dogs and sharks.
Right. That's where the line is drawn.
But other than that, yes, do that. Well, and I have done this. We were hiking in Glacier National Park.
Oh yeah.
Just the two of us. And we were hiking up to Grinnell Glacier, and some of the places you go, like you can't see very far in front of you. It's just about turning rocks and corners and whatever else. And we turn the corner, and there is a giant bull moose there. Mm-hmm. Which, if you're just listening to this and you don't know anything about bull moose, you're like, okay, what's the big deal? Those things kill a lot of people. They can be very aggressive, territorial, and all those things. So
yeah, and they're so much more massive in person than if you like see them on TV or in a picture. They're just so massive in person.
So as soon as we saw it, like I kind of stuck my hand out and like quietly like told Lysandra like okay, get behind me.
Yeah.
And we patiently just kind of watched and waited for the moose to go on its way through the forest.
That was a big animal.
So, but it's not a large dog,
right,
and it's not a shark. Yeah. Pretty much anything other than that, like I'm okay with.
Yeah, you'll protect me. But putting them in between you're putting yourself in between danger and them can go for any kind of thing. Like if it's raining and you're walking together, you're putting yourself in between them and the cars. Like if someone's going to get splashed by a car driving by, it's going to be you. Like whatever the danger you might want to call it. It could just be something like getting splashed by a car.
What mall were we at when we were just kind of walking around and the girls were with us and we were shopping and all of a sudden a fight broke out? What mall was that?
Oh my goodness. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Where were we?
So anyways, we were out shopping just like you do, and this fight broke out in this mall. And
yeah, that was nutty.
You and the girls were all like just in shock. Like you've never really seen anything like this.
No, because that's not normal. Like I know it's normal on movies or whatever, and I know that sometimes you see that stuff on the news, but it's rare. Like
but I've been in situations, not at the mall, but situations like that before. So I was the only one not like just in shock.
We were in
shock.
Everybody
get behind me, all right, and we're gonna walk the long way around. But
yeah. So yeah, putting yourself between the danger and the woman. How about this one? Allow her to get off an elevator or on the elevator first, and holding the elevator door for a woman or someone who is injured or elderly too. But just letting them go first.
Well, and this also depends on what the situation is. So if the elevator door opens and it looks like a situation where she could be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to be uncomfortable, then I'll get in first.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Holding the umbrella for the woman so that she doesn't get wet, even if you maybe do end up getting wet.
Do people have umbrellas?
We don't use umbrellas, but this is a thing.
But
you think about it like at church when it would be raining, you would have umbrellas by the door and the greeters would like take the umbrella to the car and walk people in. It's kind of that idea.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering how many people actually own umbrellas.
I think we're the unusual ones that don't own umbrellas. I don't know.
I don't see a lot of umbrellas out and about. That's the thing. Who's keeping the umbrella company in business?
Yeah, I never see umbrellas. Okay, people, do you have an umbrella? And if so, is it one family umbrella? Is it mom's umbrella? Or does everybody have an umbrella?
But I have been in situations where I don't know where the umbrella came from. But I've had an umbrella and have carried it for people.
Yeah.
Like where I'm getting wet,
Church, I
but they're
think.
dry.
Yeah. That's a very chivalrous thing to do.
Another one is to offer your hand to her as needed.
Okay.
So whatever the situation is, getting up and down and whatever.
Climbing down, jumping off a rock.
Yeah. So I just put my hand out there, and if you want to take it, you can take it, and if you don't, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But giving the option.
Yeah. And a lot of these are just offers. Like the offer is what means a lot.
Well, and really all of them are offers, right? Mm-hmm. Because maybe not stepping between them in danger. Like you don't have to, excuse me, miss, would you like me to come between you and this car that's about to run you over? But it's not chivalry if you're forcing it on them. You know, that's just stealing their backpack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's thievery. So, you're offering your hand, or you're offering to hold the door open for them. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, it does happen where I'm like offering to hold the door open for them, and a woman doesn't want me to hold the door for them.
Yeah, right.
And like that's okay. Like that's your prerogative. I know you're physically able to do that yourself, but it is just an offer. That is chivalry in and of itself. It's just It's your choice.
Yeah. Give your coat to a woman when she's cold.
This is one I have a little harder time with.
Yeah, because
I'm typically cold.
And you know what? This is something though that I don't really need because I'm obsessed with being comfortable in whatever temperature. So I've always got my layers. Like that's one of the things in my backpack. I have a tank top, a short sleeve shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and a sweatshirt all the time, basically. And
this is how spoiled Lysandra is, because we're talking about this topic of giving your coat to a woman who's cold. we were on one of the planes. I forget which one it was, but we're on one of the planes, and it was so cold on that plane.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we were freezing.
And you had your sweatshirt and everything else, and you were trying to get my sweatshirt.
I was like, oh, nice sweatshirt.
Yeah.
May I?
You're like, what about chivalry?
I did. Did I say that? Because we hadn't even been talking about this.
What about being chivalrous?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it dies here because I am freezing. Like
it was really cold.
It's not going to be you with 2 sweatshirts and me in a t-shirt. Like we're both in sweatshirts here.
Yeah, but I do think that like I stuck my hands in your sweatshirt or something. We worked out. It was all good.
That sounds worse than it is, people.
Just to get warm.
Here's one. I don't know if this is still a thing.
I don't know.
But this is like when you're teaching etiquette. I must have taken an etiquette class somewhere.
Oh my goodness. How do you not remember stuff? It's so weird.
I don't remember where it would have been.
Okay.
I bet that's where I actually heard the car thing in the street and the sidewalk.
Would that have been in college?
I have no idea. It's gone.
Okay.
But this was always something I thought was like, why are we doing this? Stand up when a woman enters a room.
Yeah, or like when she comes back to the table, all the men are supposed to stand up.
Yeah.
That is a thing, but I don't know if it's like in our culture. I don't know if that's a...
Now, if I'm seated and somebody comes and we're going to have an interaction and I don't, like if I know you and we're friends or whatever, I'm not standing up for you to talk to you. I will stand up for you in other scenarios. But if like this happened this past weekend, we're meeting a lot of new people. So people walk up, obviously I'm the guest, and they walk up. I will stand up as a sign of respect when I shake their hand and talk to them. Mm-hmm. But this idea to stand up when a woman enters a room, like every time a woman enters a room, that'd be a lot of like up and down. I'm like, I think I'll just stand. Thank you.
I think it's got to be more like when they come back to a table.
Yeah. I don't know. But it's a thing to stand up when a woman enters a room.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about.
You'll have to decide if you want to teach your boys to do that.
Yeah. I will say, guys, it's all right to let that one slide, but that's up to you.
Unless your wife really cares about it.
Yeah. That would be a weird thing to be passionate about. It's like, no, a woman is coming in the room. You stand up right now. Oh, here's another woman. Stand up. And you're like, up, down, up, down.
Okay. How about this one? Let the woman order first at a restaurant. Typically, you will do this too.
Yeah, but there's a lot of times you have no idea what you want.
Unless the woman says, start it over there, and by the time you get to me, I'll be ready.
Which happens most of the time.
Yeah. Also, if your food comes first at a restaurant, wait for her food to arrive before you eat, unless she insists. You know, and all of these are unless she insists or unless she refuses or whatever. Like,
well, and that's like you wait for the hostess. Like if you're at somebody's house, you wait for her to eat. Mm-hmm. Typically, I think actually you're supposed to wait for her to take the first bite.
Yeah, that is technically correct. I think a lot is to be said about, just reading the room and everything, but yeah, so just basically putting her first, whatever it may be.
Walking a woman to the door after a date. So maybe you're not married or whatever else. And I will say the opposite is true as well. Like, don't just honk the horn. Don't drive and honk the horn. Some guy just drove up and honked the horn at my daughter. I'd be the one going out to the car.
Yeah.
But you're walking there to her door to make sure she gets inside safely. Mm-hmm. I do this, and actually I was telling the girls this the other day, mostly Isabella, because I'm in the phase of like, she's about to take her driver's test. So I've talked to her about driving a lot, but, when you go and drop anybody off, I don't care. Like if I drop a man off, I always wait to make sure they get inside first before I drive away.
Yep.
Like you don't want to leave somebody stranded.
Yeah. Yep.
So the idea is make sure that person's safe before they leave your presence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Changing tires for her, filling gas. So this is, as applies to you, right? Like I fill up the car with gas all the time. But if Thomas and I are together and the gas is empty, typically you will do it, mostly just because I don't want to.
So that reminds me of this conversation I was having with somebody through text. I'm trying to remember who it is now.
It has to be Troy and Carla, because we're always joking around about how he leaves the gas tank empty for her.
No, this is a positive thing. This is not something Troy would do.
Oh, nice.
He and they have more than one car, but he has committed, I think, this entire year.
He posted it on the family meeting community.
Yeah. Try that his wife he would not let his wife have to fill up the car with gas the whole year.
Yeah, which means like sometimes he leaves the house just to fill the car with gas so that the next day she can go off.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
I'm not that chivalrous.
No, you are not.
Definitely not.
But changing a tire, like I do, my dad did teach me how to change a tire. I've never actually had to do it because I left my dad's house and entered Thomas's. And so if I ever got a flat tire, I'd be calling Thomas. I would not be changing my own tire.
Yeah. But I do want the girls to know how to do that themselves. Yeah. But I would never stand back and just let you change a tire.
That would be so funny to just watch someone stand back, like watch a man stand back and have a woman. It just like, it's not that women aren't capable. That's the thing. It's not that we're not capable. I'm fully capable of changing a tire.
Probably more so than I am.
Yeah, I'd probably do it faster and better.
You probably would.
But it's just about the respect and showing them honor. Now, there may be a time when the girl doesn't want help, whether she is on the feminist side of things, like, I'm capable, I can do this myself. Or maybe it's just a situation where, like, the things in her bag are more valuable than what she's willing to let somebody else carry. The examples could be.
There's a lot of different reasons why she wouldn't want your help.
Right. And it doesn't matter why she doesn't want your help. But if she doesn't want your help, let her be. Like, don't insist that you hold the door for her. Don't stand there and wait and argue about it. Like, that is not chivalry. Chivalry is putting the woman first and putting her needs above your own. So go ahead and just offer whatever it is out of all of these things we've talked about. And if she passes, let her pass, and just, give a smile, give a kind word.
So family meeting tonight, we're just going to have a conversation about chivalry. You may have to learn how to spell the word first.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea. But I know what it looks like when somebody's chivalrous.
Yes, you do.
So we're having a conversation about what does that look like? About the importance of respecting women. And one of the things that I think would be interesting to do is to have a conversation with your kids and ask them what they think it looks like. Like, what do you think is a good way to respect and honor women, to respect and honor girls? And then, of course, you can take that opportunity to teach them some of the basic things of what it looks like to give honor unto a woman and show her the respect and everything that she deserves.
Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share it on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we would like to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about healing from deep wounds in your marriage. A lot of times our episodes are lighthearted, but there are some people who are listening who have very deep wounds and are heavy-hearted. We want to help you to start that process of healing.
Well, and we were talking about this at our most recent marriage weekend out in Washington, and I think it's going to be a great conversation. Because all of us have those emotional wounds, right? Anytime you're in any sort of relationship, whatever it is, there's opportunity for conflict, for hurt, for pain. But learning how to get over and get past those things is vitally important. So I think it'll be a good conversation that we'll have together next time. Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. Well done, lover.
Thank you. Thanks for being chivalrous. I'm very yawny today.
Oh, Yanni, that's like a singer or something, isn't it?
Pianist, we talked about this last week. Apparently, I yawn a lot.
You do yawn a lot. But,
well, listen, if chivalry died in your house, bring it back to life.
So I'm kind of curious, like, who is it that taught you, like, how to be chivalrous? Like some of these etiquette things. I don't remember exactly where I learned all of it. I'm pretty sure I took an etiquette class somewhere along the line.
So funny.
But I don't have any idea where I learned all that stuff from. But who's the one that taught you like how to show like these different specific things?
Yeah, I'd like to hear. And we hope you have a fabulous week. We'll see you next time for the Family Meeting Podcast.